Hello everyone, thank you for viewing this presentation. I'm Fatma from Group 2, the group consisting of Erin, Fatma, Lita, and Ari. In this delightful occasion, we would like to discuss more on penilaian dan evaluasi pemahaman dalam UbD, Understanding by Design. In assessment and evaluation of understanding by design, one of the students can do that we instruct them is to have a performance task. A performance task requires students to apply their learning in real context and authentic context, serving as a means to assess their understanding and ability to transfer knowledge. The UbD framework further identifies the facet of understanding, that is, to explain, to interpret, to apply, to demonstrate perspective, to display empathy, to possess self-knowledge. As a group 2, we'll discuss more on the understanding of assessment, especially for the interpretation. I would like to explain a little more about our understanding on it. An essential aspect of interpretation within this framework is the capacity to make sense of various forms of data, tasks, experiences. Students are encouraged to utilize images, analogies, stories, and models to interpret information effectively. By incorporating this element, educators can foster deeper comprehension and ensure the students truly grasp the concept of being taught. An interpretation assists learners to make sense of why certain concept matters or how certain learning objectives relate to them. Within MIT 2005 also give an example how to understand how interpretation works. An example of this is an horticulture class, maybe through a fertilizer lab. In the lab or laboratorium, the instructor might ask learners to read a section of lab report to determine the fertilizer needs of the certain plant. At the conclusion of the lab, the instructor might ask learners to interpret some of idea produced by the class. In the lab report, the instructor might ask learners what they have concluded and have learner reflection on their observation and data that led them to have conclusion. To grasp a little more understanding on the capacity to interpret, there are 5 aspects of interpretation ability criteria that can help us to map how interpretation implemented in understanding by design assessment. The first is meaningful or bermakna, and the second is insightful or berbagi wawasan, and then the third significant, and the fourth illustrative, and the last is clear atau membuat jelas. In the meaningful criterion, the student are expected to provide critical and logical views and opinions. And then for insightful side here, the students are expected to elaborate knowledge and insights that they possess to form a new understanding and view. And then the significance here wants the students to provide a positive and non-judgmental opinion. And for illustrative, here it means that the students are expected to provide a clear picture or description or descriptive text. And then the last is about to make clear. Here the students are expected to provide in-depth explanation or reason related to the subject matter. To extend more our idea about the interpretation in assessment, we would like to create a learning topic. This is to learn poem by famous poet. There are many activities that the student can do that represent interpretation, which learning objective is to help students to interpret meaningful and the messages within poems and appreciate the beauty of language and the use of literary devices in the poetry. The activities are first presentation or modeling text by the teacher. The second, students are directed to read and analyze the poem, including to take note on meaning and then theme and the literary devices used in the poems. The third, doing collaboration in a small group discussion. They discuss exchanging their idea into their group. And the fourth, their understanding and interpretation can be form of writing personal responses toward what they have already learned and the lesson of the poems. And the fifth one, the students conducted a presentation or class discussion. Here, what we want the student achieve is to be able to interpret the meaning and messages within poem by considering literary devices, poem structure, and the context. In conclusion, interpretation aspect in understanding by design, especially in the assessment and evaluation part, is important for teacher to know because it helps teacher to map the understanding of the students toward the material given, the achievement toward the learning objective. That's all from our group. Thank you.